all. Wonderful day. Lord has blessed us to put our feet on the floor again. And before we go, we get into our devotion today, we ask we kind of bow our heads, go before the Lord in prayer. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for all you do for us and your blessings. Lord, we want to thank you for the blessings on our country. We ask, Lord, you please touch each and every area of our country. Father, please be in each and every family. Please watch over us, protect us, Father, from all that is going on in the world. We ask, Lord, you watch over our church. Please bless those that are sick. Watch after them, Father. Be your will. In Jesus' name I pray. All right. We'll go ahead and go into our fourth day of our David and Goliath devotion. Our lesson for today is discerning the voice of the enemy. And in this story, which we've all heard, as Brother Jason put it, it was part of a Sunday school lesson. And I have taught on David and Goliath, and you all have heard the stories. And there are several different ways this story has been brought out to teach us so many different things. I always seem to get something new out of it every time. And this is nothing different. But as we look at discerning the voice of the enemy, we want to look at the particular verses between 41 and 47. And this is a great exchange between Goliath and David. And before we kind of get into that, we want to kind of go ahead and define what we would consider, what does discern mean? You're going to discern the voice of the enemy. Let's see what discern means. It means to perceive or recognize someone or something with sight or other senses. In the Bible, and many times it talks about the sheep know the voice of their master or the shepherd. They follow that voice. You can ask a mother which baby it is that's crying, whether it's theirs or not. I know that can be something that several people have said. But discern is something we can pick out, that we know who it is. If you pick up a phone call and someone says hello, most of the time you can discern who that person is on the other side. So to discern is basically who is speaking to me, who is actually coming at me with information that I need to know where it's coming from. And as we discern the voice of the enemy, we can recognize who that enemy is that's speaking. Going into this lesson series, we talked about David and Goliath, and the movie came out a long time ago, basically, was Facing the Giants, and it always came to me as a great underdog story, one that was a great movie to show us how to trust in God to overcome all the struggles in your life. And if you've not seen the movie, the head coach goes through a lot of different struggles during the movies. In the story, the coach is a head coach of the football team. The football team is so-so. What would you consider so-so? They've not had a winning season in 6 years. This season in the movie looks like this may be the year they're going to break out, but that may not happen because their star player leaves and goes to a rival school. School supporters say, hey, he's not had a winning season in 6 years. We need to have a new coach. And they start pressuring the school to try to have him replaced. He gets up and his car won't run. His house stinks. Basically, another problem or another struggle with the prospect that him and his wife cannot have children. So in the beginning of the movie, he is looking at a lot of different struggles, a lot of things that are coming at him. And I would say not all of these, but we have dealt with some of these on a daily basis. We're either having problems at work, we're having problems with finances, we're having problems with things that are going on at the house, things that break, relationship problems, whatever it may be. We all have struggles. We all have giants that we face in our lives. I want to ask you, are you facing giants? Are you facing giants today? Who's talking to you when you're facing those giants? So we're going to talk about it and figure out who's talking to you. So let's pick up in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 41 and 42. It says, the Philistine came on Goliath and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. When the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him. He didn't like him. He felt that he was being insulted. For he was but a youth and ruddy and of fair countenance. In other words, this wasn't a warrior that came to meet mighty Goliath. This wasn't a seasoned army officer that came to represent Israel. This was a youth. This was a boy that came before him. 43, it says, and the Philistine said unto David, am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves, with sticks? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh to the fowls of the air and to the beasts of the field. The Philistine, Goliath, was so insulted that someone would come to fight him at such a low stature. He would say, I'm not just a normal animal that you can just fight me off with a stick. But basically, come to me. We'll make this very quick. I'm going to crush you. I am going to kill you. I'm going to give your flesh to the animals that roam this earth. So basically, this will be very quick. I'll take care of this right now. David knew who was talking to him. He knew it was Goliath. He knew it was a nearly 10-foot giant that came across in the valley of Elah. He knew, he could discern who that was. So what is he telling him? He's telling him that David didn't mean that much, that there was going to be bodily harm given to him, that this was going to be an embarrassment to David and to Israel. He was doing a lot of talking during these last 4 verses. So how big do you think that giant looked to David when all of this began to happen? Well, David, being one of the gods, then took over the conversation in 45. Verse 45, he says, then David said to the Philistine, thou comest to me with a sword and a spear and with a shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, and to all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Now, David, even though he knew that God was going to be with him, that God had backed him up, his God was bigger than any giant that came across the valley floor. That he knew that he was not going to be the one that was going to do the fight, that God was going to do the fight for David. 47, and all this assembly, all these people that are on either side, shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. David could have wringed his hands and said, I just went by this stream and picked up some rocks. He comes with me with a spear and a sword. There's no way I can do this. This struggle is too much. There is too much I cannot do. I'm just a youth. I don't have the strength. He could have done all these things, come up with a lot of different excuses. But what does he say in 47? For the battle is the Lord. How many of our struggles on a daily basis are the Lord's? And we basically spend a lot of time wringing our hands over something that the Lord has already done. When we're discerning the voice that's talking to us on a daily basis, if we have any struggles, think of it this way. If the voice that's talking to you convicts you, It says something about something you've done. God will convict you in love. The enemy will bring on guilt and condemnation, maybe through your actions. God will encourage and reassure you about your struggles. The enemy will discourage and frighten you. God will lead, guide, and steal your soul. The enemy will try to push you and rush you. God will calm you. The enemy will make you obsess and worry. God will bring you comfort, but the enemy will bring chaos and compromise. God will bring clarity and confirmation to you, but the enemy will bring confusion. God will bring you closer to a relationship with Christ, and the enemy will do everything in their power to take you away from that relationship. How many struggles in your life when you discern which voice has been talking to you? To be honest and transparent, I've had a lot of things said to me on the right-hand side of that page. I've been discouraged. I've been frightened. I've obsessed over things. I've worried over things. But I know that God has already fought the battles. He has already taken a lot of what I should have given to him all along. To make it back to the movie Facing the Giants, there's a quote that Grant Taylor, the head coach in the movie, says, "With God, nothing is impossible." So who's talking to you today? Are they being discouraging? The voice that's talking to you during your struggles? Or are you discerning what God is saying? Remember, every time the enemy tells you how little you are, and what's going to happen next, and that you have no hope, remember, with God, nothing is impossible. If you know who's talking to you, you know exactly who's faithful in your prayer. I hope you get something out of it. I hope you have a wonderful Friday. Look forward to seeing you soon.